to the VFC kitchen for our cooking class today. 3 different ways of dealing with polenta. Normally I'm geared up in the VFC kitchen, but for our purposes today I'm going to remove my mask so you can see my friendly face, and I'm going to say buongiorno, cosa fai, ciao Italiano. The first thing we're going to look at today is a polenta torte. And this is a torte with a red onion marmalade. Now, obviously, I had to cook this in advance because you need to allow the polenta to cool. And once the polenta, while it's hot, and in this dish we have mashed butternut squash and a Alejandro cheese, but you can use any kind of sharp cheese, sharp cheddar, any kind of sharp, nice cheese that you enjoy, or no cheese at all to keep it vegan. All right? And the next thing we're going to do, this is in a spring-form pan. All right? We are going to take this red onion marmalade that I made, which is wilted red onions with thyme, salt, pepper, some smoked paprika, and this is, and then we added a little bit of sherry to deglaze the pan. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take all this out of here, just like that. We're going to spread this around our pie, our torte, just like that. Beautiful. So now that's what we're looking at. Okay. We're going to take our next layer and just simply place that right on top, just like so. As you can see now, I scored the top just to give it a nice look with a fork. Just take a fork and just drag it over the top while the polenta's hot. All right? Now, to top this off, we're going to just put some cheese on top, like such. Just get that nice and spread around there. Excellent. All right. And into the oven we go. We got a 350 oven. And it's going to go in there for probably about 45 minutes, I believe. Just till it's warmed through and that cheese on top is nice and melted. So that's our torte. We are going to provide a recipe of exactly how to construct this torte. It'll be attached to the class, so you'll be able to download that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is get out our trusty whisk. We're going to come over to the stove here. We're going to get our pot of water here. Polenta's essentially 2 to 1 in terms of ratio. You can use plain water. You can use any kind of broth, be it veggie, chicken, whatever broth you want, mushroom broth, any kind of broth you want, you can use as opposed to water if you so desire. But you can just use water. I have the polenta here and a pinch of salt that I'm putting into the polenta. This dish here is going to be a quick, and well, you have to keep stirring the polenta, so not that quick, but anyway, it's all going to work out to be delicious in the end. And we're just going to wait for that water to boil. And as we're allowing that water to come to boil, I would have come over here, and what we're going to put into this polenta water today with the polenta, I'm going to put it right in there, a little bit of seasonal veggies. All right, if you have morels and you want to use them, that's great. Otherwise, we're going to use mushroom. We're going to use asparagus. We're going to take this asparagus just like that, and we're just going to chop that into nice little bite-sized pieces, just like this. There we go. All right. This is fresh green garlic. We're going to remove the tip. The end, I should say, the roots. We're going to take that off right where the first leaf begins. These leaves are really fibrous. Some people might use them in a pesto or something. I personally don't like doing that because they're very fibrous. I'm going to peel off anything like that. Now this is a fresh green garlic that I'm also going to chop more or less at the same size as the asparagus. There we go. Okay. And this, all of this is going to go into our water with the polenta. And we're just going to cook this stuff all at once, all together. And I think we'll throw, oh yes, now we got our pot of water is boiling. I'm going to throw these veggies in there. I'm just going to put a little pinch of pepper. And here we go. We're going to add this polenta just like this, slowly. And while we're doing that, we're going to make sure that we're whisking so it doesn't clump. We don't want clumpy polenta, do we? All right. The main thing, this is the main thing, it's sort of like making a risotto in a way, but not as tedious or time consuming. And there we go. We've added all our polenta. So I had that heat up high for boiling, but now I'm going to turn it down slightly. You don't want to put too high of the heat on your polenta or it'll easily burn and stick. Okay? So yes, as you can see, it's already, as soon as it goes in, polenta cooks fairly quickly in a certain way. And you can see how it's already thickening and getting sort of gelatinous, right? So we just want to keep that stirring. We got that down. If you like, one thing we can do is we could add a tablespoon of olive oil in there. There we go. We'll stir that in. You could add butter if you're into butter. You could add truffle oil, I imagine. We have on the finished product, though. I wouldn't put it in here. So there we go. We're just allowing that to sit there. I'm going to reduce this heat down even a little bit more. All right. So there's that. It's just going to sit there for right now. And we're going to come over here. We're going to start on our next dish, which is going to be after the polenta is cooked. I put this in a mold. This is a little bit left over from the torte. So I just molded it into a bread loaf pan, essentially, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to cut this polenta now into cubes, like such. And this, once again, has butternut squash, cheese, salt, and pepper in it, and that's all it has in it. Okay? So now we have some cubes. We're going to bring our nice saute pan here. We're going to turn that on. We're going to add some olive oil. And then occasionally, see, while I'm doing that, I can make sure that I stir this. Give it a stir every now and then. It's pretty much absorbed all of the water, as you can see right now. But we want to let it break down, get just a little bit creamier, okay? So we're just going to keep cooking that while we're getting this oil pan hot. We're going to wait for that. And while I'm doing that, I guess I'm multitasking here, as they call it. I'm going to chop some veggies for what we're going to use this for a polenta salad. It's going to be golden brown, crispy, nice wedges of polenta, and we're going to add a bunch of vegetables to that salad. So I'm going to do some scallion. All right, just going to throw that in our salad bowl. We're going to do some celery. Which I'm going to cut like this. I like to cut veggies almost always where they're bite-sized or easy to pick up with a fork or spoon. So you don't need a knife, right? Okay, so we got some celery. Throw that in our bowl. We have a nice roasted red pepper. Now this roasted red pepper I did directly on the stovetop, right on the gas flame. It turns black as coal, and then you just take it over to, you let it rest, you put it in a container with a lid, let the pepper, they call it sweating it. But right now I better come back over, so I gotta keep on top of all this. So I'm gonna stir that polenta again every so often. Our oil's getting hot, and we're back over here with the red pepper, black, and then once you pull off that black skin, voila, roasted red pepper. And I'm gonna cut that into some nice little strips, just like that. We're gonna throw that into our salad bowl. Yummo. We have some, I have a mix of green and black olives here, okay? And I'm just going to give them a little bit of a rough chop there. You don't have to be too fussy unless you need to be fussy. Don't let me get in the way of fussy. But that's a rustico chop on that. We have some cherry tomatoes that I cut in half. I'm going to throw those in there. This is the beginning of our salad. We have some nice fresh basil. We're just going to rough chop that. We'll throw that into our salad bowl. Oh, and we got some nice, lovely capers here. All right, we're going to throw in essentially a tablespoon of capers. We're going to put in there. Excellent. And I have some parsley here, fresh parsley. I like to take parsley and things like this, and rather than chop it with a knife, I like to do this with it, with the kitchen shears. And I like to do that with almost any fresh herbs, chives, scallions, anything you can do with scissors to get a little bit more control. So we're just going to put a little bit of, that was probably, let's say 3 tablespoons of parsley is what we put into this salad bowl. All right, let's forget about that for a minute. We're going to come back to our fry pan because it looks like that oil is nice and hot now. And we're just going to put this polenta right in there. Got some sizzle, crackle, pop going on. We like that, don't we? We like the sizzle, crackle, pop. These things are cooking. And let's give our polenta one more stir here. Those veggies are cooked. Now, and that polenta is real close to being done. We're just going for a little bit of browning, a little bit of golden on this here. I'm just going to watch it a little bit. If you want to get that, we're going for like a nice golden color here. There's just my flame. I had it up a little too high. There we go. There we go. I'm not sure how the Italians got so involved with corn or polenta since it's a New World food. Corn, that is. But I'm grateful that they did. Polenta's an often misunderstood and not very used kind of grain. But if you like corn, or can tolerate corn, it's nice. Okay. So that polenta in this pot is just about done. Oh yeah, one thing. I often see a lot of amateur cooks they're cooking and then they'll do that and then they walk away from the stove and they leave their spoon or their metal thing in the food they're cooking. And at least for me, I don't like to do that because then I feel like I'm cooking the metal, you know, in there. Besides which, if you put a metal-handled spoon into a hot pot, if you've never done that, you're going to burn your hand. It's going to get hot because of the conductivity, right? Or induction. It travels right up that spoon. You touch it, ow! Mamma mia! Okay. So there we go. We're starting to get some nice color on this polenta. It's looking great. Sorry about that. So this polenta in the pot is pretty much done. So I'm going to shut the heat off and bring it over to our table here. And I'm going to take it out of the bowl. There you go. Let's get rid of that. So it kind of looks like sort of like you know, mashed potatoes or something. And then if you want, you could take some of this fresh parsley once again and, well, we just cut a little bit of that onto there. There we go. And the next thing we can do is just add a little bit of Parmesan on top of that. There we go. And voila, there's our first dish. Easy peasy, right? Simple. Now this has asparagus, scallion, and mushroom in it. You can put any kind of vegetable you want. I tend to like to use seasonal vegetables, which all three of those right now are. So, and that's just a nice side dish or even a main course if you added some more cheese to it. Maybe if you like to grill chicken or you have some chickpeas as a side or complement with this dish. So there's our first dish right there. Polenta out of the pot, we'll call that. Polenta in a pot. There you go. Our torte is cooking nicely. We'll just look at that. You can see it's getting some color on it. We can see it's starting to bubble. Now this is a convection oven, so you know I got a fan going in here. Well, if you have a convection oven at home, that's great. Most people don't. So, but that doesn't really matter. You can still do what we're doing. Now we're going to come over to our, look at the coloring. We're starting to get on this now. All right. This just firms up our polenta a little bit. You can see it's sticking in the pan. That's what it's going to do. You can scrape all that up later if you want. That's yummy little morsels. All right. There we go. So we're just letting that. Don't be afraid to touch your food. There we go. All right. So that's kind of what we're looking for there. You can grill that as long as you want. You could take this same exact thing and brush that log of polenta that I showed you with olive oil, cut it into those pieces, put it on a pan and stick it under your broiler. You just have to make sure that you flip it once while you're broiling to get the top and bottom, get some golden color on it. All right. So we just let that go for another little bit. And I'll come over here and talk about, so for our salad here, where we have, you know, those nice things we put in there, and what I've just made a very simple balsamic vinaigrette that essentially is just, this is just olive oil, black pepper, a little salt, and balsamic vinegar. And what we want to do with that, now you could blend this and emulsify it. You could, if you make a lot, you could shake it, but you could simply do what I'm doing right here too. Just get just a little bit of incorporation. that's going to be our dressing for this salad. And I would say that this looks good. So let's take our pan, even all that other olive oil we got, we're just going to dump all of it right in here, just like that. We are going to gently toss this like such. Okay. I am going to add some Parmesan to this. Why not? Give that a little bit of a toss in there. Okay, and finally, let's pour the salad dressing on there. And let's give that a little bit of a toss just to get everything nice and coated. One thing you can do with this salad is you can take some nice romaine, for instance. You could leave the romaine whole, just like this, the small inner nice leaves, just like that. How's that? Complete meal right there on a nice hot summer day. Yummy. There you go. Our 3 dishes here, and we have one more to go, don't we? Which is that nice torte that's in the oven. Oh, look at that. There we go. That is our torte. Just need to let this just cool for a little bit before we pop that spring to make sure that it's going to stay intact, because we've reheated the polenta now. So let that rest. I would say let it rest for 5 to 10 minutes. We'll cut it open and see what we got. I imagine too, like this torte, or even like this polenta dish here, I mean, there's so many variations you could do with this. You could take this polenta that I made, press it out into a pan, a sheet pan, a piece of parchment like this, like you saw me take that log, press this out into it, top it with a little bit of your favorite kind of sauce, be it a pesto, a white sauce, or a red sauce, and then put some cheese on that and bake it again, and now you got like a polenta pizza, gluten-free polenta pizza. That's the great thing too about polenta, is that it's gluten-free. If you have a corn allergy, well then obviously you're not going to be eating polenta. So, let's see what happens here. And there's our polenta torte right there. That's what it's looking like after I've removed the spring form pan, which I should probably let it sit for a little bit, but you know what? Let's cut it. Delicate. Let's see what happens. See if we can get a nice piece out of here, a nice little wedge. That's what we're talking about. That red onion marmalade has a lovely aroma because of the thyme and a little bit of sherry that we put in there. And once again, you can use this as a lovely side dish, as a main course with a nice salad, or whatever protein suits your particular needs and desires. And I really want to thank you all for being in class with me here today. Buon appetito. Mangia.